Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, all right, all right. So here you go. We are here, and we're working through the technical issues. Apparently, have a whole bunch of problems with my system here, and but it's going to work today. I do not have any guests scheduled for today, but I am terribly sorry. By the way, this is a Ninja Pastor. I am going to be opening chat right now. Right now. Here we go. I typed it out. So you guys could be part of chat even though you're not actually in the chat. But yeah. So here we are. This is a Collision of Faith and Politics. I am Reverend Dr. Sean Michael Greener, the Ninja Pastor. And, ultimately, it's one of those things. I mean, I am not what you would call a technical genius. I am not a technical genius, I'm sorry to say. I am one of those people who struggles mightily, actually, with certain things. And as many of you know, I was struck. Hey, there's Steve from Ohio. Welcome. So I was struck head on 92 versus 51 miles per hour. Went from 51 miles per hour to 0 in 7 feet. And so my guess is that somehow or another, God, maybe He just didn't want me to. Hey, Dole, chat is open, lively group already. He didn't want me in heaven yet. He still had some perfecting to do, I guess, on me. So He took me from death. I did actually die for a few minutes, and brought me back to life for whatever reason. So anyway, the point of the matter is, I am just one of those people that I don't know why this happened. I don't know how it happened, but I know this, that I'm blessed that it did. I'm just blessed that it did. Let me know if I'm blowing your ears out. By the way, I'm trying to modulate. I'm learning these new things. Anyway, oh yeah. Back in Ohio, salmon at the new place. Hey, listen, that's a reminder. By the way, the salmon is really, really good. I love your cooking. Awesome. Can't wait to see the new place. Steve from Ohio. And but let me say this. We are heading out to Tucson, Arizona. We are heading out there to in October to do a Michael Strange Foundation it's a Gold Star Family Workshop, Grief Workshop, and I'm privileged to be one of the speakers, and I am eager for that to happen. I'm super excited. Hey, Alaska's online. How you doing? Good to have you, brother. Hey, let me just say this while the audience is tuning in. I was very surprised to find out that, obviously I expected a massive drop transitioning from Blog Talk Radio. By the way, we're paying a fee for Blog Talk Radio to maintain our recordings every month. I can't remember if it's $12 a month or $19. I can't remember how much it is, but it's something. And so we're doing that for probably the first several months or few months anyway, to give you time. If there's an episode that you really want to download and you say, hey, you know what, I'm like the Sebastian Gorka episode. You guys remember when I interviewed him? That has been downloaded, I looked, 2 million times. If I had a penny, if I could find a way to make even just a penny off every download, dadgummit, I'd be excited. But anyway, so the point is there are a lot on there. There's our Sunday messages, and there are our Wednesday shows, and some Monday shows, and some impromptu shows. And you remember after the murder of Lavoy Finicum, when Lavoy Finicum was murdered by the United States government under the Barack Hussein Obama administration, I did an interview right after that. Somebody was there, and that's a pretty intense episode. There are many intense episodes. So, what I'm saying to you, I encourage you to go there and kind of peruse through. But if you select something, if you say, hey man, I think I want to really check this out, what I'd really like you to consider doing is not only taking that and downloading it for yourself, but sharing it. Share it directly from there, and maybe share our link. Now, which brings me to, we have, and by the way, thank you, Colleen, for the sandwich. Very, very good. I appreciate it. I did notice that one end of the sandwich was missing. I don't know what happened with that. We also want to thank Dr. Bonnie because of Dr. Bonnie, we have fresh tomatoes. So she gave us tomato plants. Everybody in our Kehala, which meets on Sunday at 5. We meet at 5 Eastern Standard Time, and then we start our broadcast at 5:30. You may think, well, why do you meet at 5? I have to tell you, there's some cooking folks up in our Kehala. So if you're ever around the Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey area, even New York City area, it's not that far away, really I would encourage you to come. I mean to tell you, it really, really, really. Hey, Jerry from Pennsylvania, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. And so what I would say to you is this: I really, I would encourage you to come on Sunday because it's a fun time. The first 30 minutes, we're noshing on some serious food, and it's almost all homemade. It's a lot of fun. And if you say to yourself, well, I'm not a homemade food maker, or if I'm coming from far away, don't bring anything, or if you just can't come, if you're like my buddy Bob and Millie, they're Philly and New York represented, you know what I mean? And they don't go anywhere empty-handed. So if you're like them, which I've had Bob's cooking, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to lie, I would not turn Bob's cooking down. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't do it. I've had it lots of times, and I can tell you, it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. So I'm not going to say to him, don't bring anything. But I'm going to say to you, you might take that as a personal challenge. Who's this Bob? Bob from Philly. The Bob and Millie from Philly. And, I can cook better than them, which is fine. I like competition. We're all about that. But, if you're coming from far away, you're a visitor, come and enjoy what we put out there. Because I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's super good stuff. It's just good stuff. It's just good stuff. I got no other way to put it to you. It's just good stuff. They're a fun bunch of people, and it's come as you are type of situation. I don't know. I don't know how to tell you. All right, let's see here. A lot of people sending me messages about the iPhone app. Well, thank you for those messages. I appreciate that. Listen, we paid the money. We went ahead and went out on faith and paid the money. Hey, Craig from New York. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. We paid the money to have the iPhone app and the Android app developed. And it is expensive, but as you might imagine. But I have to tell you, the response on the iPhone app, that's the one that's out so far. I guess I'm trying to get to that. The response to that is pretty boss. I mean, folks are really pleased with it. They say it's very easy and very quick to download. There's nothing really for you to do. And so far, so good. It works perfectly. People say it's a seamless thing. And so I'm saying all that to say this, that I would absolutely love, all right, people are asking me, when are you on again? Okay, I'm on right now. Look at Colleen all up in the chat room. I think this is a first. So my point is this: is that we want to make it easy for you. We want to make it a situation where it would really be easy for you to follow our show and to log in. And so far, so good. I have a lot of people who are telling me that this is a piece of cake. So I really want you to know that it really is a piece of cake. And you know me, I don't want to, I just don't want to, how do I put this? I would never want to do anything technology-wise that is difficult or you have to be technically savvy in some way. I don't want that. That's just not who I am. It's not what I'm about. I just can't do it. I mean, as you notice, we paid all that money to have a professional show welcome done, JD Barker. I have them on my computer. They will not cross over to my Spreaker app. And, so I'm telling you, maybe pre-crash, it'd be no problem. I'd be, I'd have it done. That's a sound it would make. But I don't. And so anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is, look, I want you to understand that if I'm going to do something, it's going to be simple and it's going to be easy. Do you dig what I'm saying? I'm really, really, really all about that. I'm all about simple, super easy. Um, it's just that's what I do. And so that's how I'm going to be. And so if we're going to adopt any technology. Now, in fairness, the Android app is still in development. We submitted them both at the same time, but Android, man, oof, Google. I guess that's who that is, Google, right? It is driving us crazy because they're so particular and they keep changing things, So anyway, so we'll work through that. We'll power through that. But I want it to be simple. I want it to be easy, and we're going to have to. I started to say this. We're going to have to rebuild our audience because whenever you change platforms, it's a big, big deal, and I mean a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Really big deal. We were at 1.8 million listeners. 1.8 million listeners. Now that is a big, big deal. I don't even know how. I've no idea. So all that said is, for me personally, and this is just me, it doesn't scare me. It really doesn't scare me. Look, I thought I would have maybe 40 people listening, maybe that. When I did the first show for the first year, we were on TogiNet, and they're nice people, very, very nice people over there at TogiNet. I never had a problem with them. But our first show, we debuted at over 114,000 listeners, and I have no idea how that happened. None whatsoever. I mean, I did a bunch of radio interviews. I was a guest on the radio for months, and I did some TV stuff and all that, but, on my book tour. But I have to tell you, honest to goodness, I didn't expect that. And I was very, very surprised. Very, very surprised. But anyhow, so all that said to say this, my approach now is, whoever we lose in the process, I hope they come back. I hope they follow us over. But they tell me you'll lose about 80% of your audience when you switch platforms. So I switched from Blog Talk Radio. When we went from TogiNet, and I'll get into the show here in a minute, but just so you have some background, when we switched from TogiNet after 1 year over to Blog Talk Radio, initially we had a huge dip. But then within, I want to say, I would almost bet that within maybe 2 months, we were over 1 million. No, over, 500,000. We had dipped way down, and then we were, boom, right back over 500,000. And then I did some shows that were particularly controversial. As a result, I guess, I don't know. I don't really know what the dealio is. I don't know. I don't know how it all went down. I wish I could say, I wish I knew, I wish I knew how, because I don't know how it happened. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you and say it was some big marketing or I did this or I did that or whatever. I didn't. I have no idea what I did. I just got on the mic and just started talking about things that I really felt were relevant. And I'll be very honest with you too. I just didn't have time for the fluffy crap. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want to have to manufacture some personality, some persona for the radio. And I'll tell you, over the last, I guess, 4 or 5 years, just about, I've had a lot of disruptions, and I don't want to use the term interferences in my life, but I mean, people that know me very closely know that I absolutely have, and so I'm not trying to make anybody feel sorry for me, but there was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of multiple things to try to think about and remember and keep working through. And some of that stuff, we're through, and some of that stuff, hey, you know what? It's going to be a long way through it. Life is hard, and it's every bit as hard for me as it is for some people, but it's easier for me than a lot of people. And so that leads me into first the dip in audience. I mean, we were at 1.8 million, right around. Some weeks we'd be at 1.8 and some change, and then other weeks we'd be at 1.6, 1.7 and some change. But usually our average was around 1.8. And then what had happened was, uh, there's Buckeye hairs floating around in here. Yeah, she is right behind me. Somebody just asked. She's completely unconscious. She's completely asleep. But she will know in approximately within 10, 15 minutes of me being finished, she will absolutely know. She'll know what time. I don't know how she knows. She just knows. She knows what time it is. Anyway, so I'll just tell you the numbers just for fun. We had probably around an 80% drop this time around when we went from Blog Talk Radio to Spreaker, and then I stopped dual broadcasting. It was about 80%, right around 80%, and we're still right around that. But last week, Sunday's message. Oh, here's an irony. I think you'll think is funny. Previously, I do a Sunday show. I could do a show every day, by the way. I could do a show every day. We have 500 hours on this plan. And so you buy 500 hours, the right to do 500 hours. Now, if you don't use your 500 hours, you lose them. So if you don't use them, you lose them. And you still pay. You don't get a discount. You don't get any money back. Anyway, my point here is that we do a Sunday show called Sundays with Dr. Sean, still under the Ninja Pastor radio show, but it's a message. It's a Christian message. It is, and I guess there's folks in chat that could to testify. It is different than I think you'd hear at the average church. Our Sunday messages are different. And again, when I looked at doing this, I said to myself, I don't want to adopt a persona or some special voice. I just wanted to be me and present from me, from who I am and what I am, and do the best that I can. Now, obviously, I'm not kind of spitballing here. I mean, I've got 11 years of postgraduate education, and I've got a master's theology, Hebrew worldview. I've got a doctorate in biblical studies, focus on Hebrew worldview, but theology from a Hebrew worldview. That's my interest, and I'm working on another doctorate now, a doctorate in ministry called a D-Min. So I'm not. So I don't know. It's not. I don't know everything. I don't even know probably 30%. But what I do know is that when we preach the sermons on Sunday, they are accurate to the very best of our ability to generate an accurate. We're very careful in handling the word. We're very selective. So all of that to say this, I am interested in this following fact, and I guess maybe this will surprise you. Okay, so Sundays, we would run around 250,000. The last several weeks, we were to 250,000 listeners from all around the world. I mean, listeners from 54 countries. Sundays were really listened to. By the way, I don't know if my family can look out the window. A bald eagle just flew right between the buildings, right over the cul-de-sac, lower than my window. So I don't know if he's going to try to catch a fish or what. And of course, if I wasn't on the radio right now, I would be scrambling to get my camera equipment and go out and take photographs. So, but yeah, that's the first time I've seen that and kind of shocked me a little bit. Anyway, so the Sunday has always been, expectedly so, the Sunday broadcast has always been lower numbers because it doesn't appeal to as broad an audience, if you know what I'm saying. Which I'm not upset by that, just so you know. However, I do want to tell you that since we've been on Spreaker, the numbers have been the same, which I think is very, very interesting. I think it's very interesting. Now, I don't make any money from this. Obviously, every penny that anybody donates or anything like that from the show, and there's some people in chat that have been very kind to donate money, and it means a lot to me. You do that at The Ninja Pastor, at theningapastor.com. You go over to donate, and you can do that securely through PayPal. literally every penny goes right back into what we're doing here to try to, do what we do. And I mean, I don't make any, I'm not a 501c3, I'm not some big corporation or not for profit or whatever. We take the money and we put it into what we do. And it's not very much, but I'm very grateful for what it is. It helps us do what we do. Anyway, somebody said to me last week about needs. You're not very good at telling people what you need. People will say, "How you doing?" And I'll say, "Great. I'm doing great. How about you?" And then I'll spend hours and hours and hours. I will. Oh, no kidding. You're gonna get a shower curtain. Oh man, that's awesome. Over in chat, Alaska said, that's my nickname for him. Said that he viewed my photography site. Now I have a photography site. I don't know if maybe I've mentioned that. I don't know if I have or I haven't. But all the money that from that goes back into facilitating that. But also, and all this is I think it's just www. You can do https://, but I think if you just do www / Shawn M SHAWNM -greener, like the grass is always greener, .pixels .pixels.com, that will take you to my photography site. And I love it. Somebody in chat, one of our listeners, is going to have a shower curtain made, which I don't ever talk about that, but we have so many things that you can use my photography and put it on. It's all right there. It's like I think I have 34 products now, and they do it all. Fine Art America does it all. They're really, really good. And if you're ever not satisfied with something, within 30 days you let them know, and they're all over it. I mean, it's really, really cool. Honestly, I'm blown away by it, and I'm the artist. So anyway, so that money goes back into what we do. And obviously, one of the needs that we have is I need to replace the computer. I have a Thunderbolt display, and all of it's old. I mean, it's an early Thunderbolt display, and it's failing. The internet connection doesn't work anymore. The Ethernet connection doesn't work anymore. So I have to go direct, or I have to do wireless when it's set up to do direct and doesn't work. The computer's way past its capabilities. I mean, we're so far past our capabilities on it. The Apple stores looked at it, and they've said, dude, we'd love to make this work, but it's not gonna. So one of the needs that we have, if you know somebody that owns an Apple store or is a wealthy person that can donate the money for us, and I'm told it's going to be between $3,000 and $4,000 for what we need. That's what I'm told. But you know anybody that can do that, they can do it through there, or they can do it directly. Whatever it is they want to do, they contact me. We'd be excited to do that. And like I say, it goes right back into what we do. All right, enough of that. Now look. I don't think, by the way, thank you very much, Alaska. That means the world to me. Thank you. I do live in a beautiful area. I try to get to all the different spots, and when I'm physically able to get out there and see some stuff, and photograph it for the people and bring some peace and some serenity, maybe some compelling images that make you stop just for a moment and think about how blessed we are. And maybe inspire you to do something you haven't done or something that you know you need to do. That's my purpose in that, and it really drives me. I'm absolutely loving it. We also do. We don't put those on there. We also do portrait photography, special occasion photography, things like that. We do that, but we don't put that on there. There is a way to do it privately, so that if we do an event for you, they are on there, but nobody else can see them, which is kind of cool. So maybe we'll talk more about that. I hardly ever talk about that, and I probably should. Anyway, and again, the money from that goes right back into doing what we're doing here. This is really what drives us. So Puerto Rico, right? So we've got Texas, we've got Florida, folks don't mention a whole lot about Louisiana and Alabama. I think Louisiana and Alabama, some parts of Georgia really got impacted. But the reality of it is, and you know what, I have a friend I have many friends that live in Florida, very, very blessed, some amazing people. But I have one friend last night that her young son, I don't know how old he is, he's either 14 or 16, and he'd be mad at me if I underage him, but they're down there in Steinhatchee, Florida. They have Sea Hag Marina, and there's video. They were videoing last night. He caught a tarpon, And I think they're saying it's over 200 pounds, which has got to be some sort of record. They're in the water with that thing. The boys are in the water. The dogs are in the water. It was amazing. Such a cool thing to watch. But if you go to Sea Hag Marina, it's all posted there. But anyway, I said all that to say this. They were very fortunate. Very, very fortunate. But people all around them weren't as fortunate. So we've got Florida, we've got Texas, and now we have the Virgin Islands. And we've got Puerto Rico, which, as you know, Puerto Rico was bankrupt. They've borrowed and borrowed and borrowed and borrowed and borrowed from us, from the mainland, and from your taxpayers' money. It was misused. There's an absolute ton of corruption there, and an absolute ton of crime. And so it is ripe to be lawless. And now, without power and so many things going on, they're in a dire situation. They really are. And our president is all over it. He's been all over it for days. But the media is not all over it. The media is underreporting what's actually happening there. They will interview 30 people. I know this for a fact because I know one of the Fox guys that are there. Now, Geraldo is also there. And you have to understand about Geraldo, Cleveland, Ohio's newest permanent resident. Geraldo is on a contract with Fox News. He's not a reporter. He is a reporter at large, contributor at large, but he's on a contract. And so the other reporters, the actual journalists that are there, they're reporting an entirely different thing, altogether different thing. And so I want you to understand that there's something at work here, and this is important to know as well. President Donald Trump and Geraldo Rivera have been personal friends for 30 years or more. I mean, they've been close personal friends. And, Geraldo's not terribly loyal to people when they start to venture over into the conservative end of things. He's not loyal because he's agenda based. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. We all know this, right? We all know this. This is not a big secret. The problem with that is this, and here is, honestly, this is the problem. The problem with it is over the last 3 decades, President Donald Trump, then, citizen, builder, developer Donald Trump, celebrity Donald Trump, more and more and more he was really kind of moving more to the conservative side. And you're right, Alaska. The Main Street media, they're on the dark side. They're all about pushing the negative that they can about conservatives and really embellishing about liberals. Now, I will make this statement, and I make it unapologetically. I am good friends with many very, very liberal people. I am very good friends. I absolutely love lots of people in the LGBT community, and we are good friends. And I will tell you, I don't, if anybody ever is picking on them or trying to abuse them of their rights, or treat them any differently than they would treat me, well, they're going to have me to deal with. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'm not going to stand for it. And you guys know I'm a pretty diverse guy. My buddy Eric Rickards, who passed away in July, shortly before his thing, we helped take care of him for about 3 years. I love that dude. I've known him since kindergarten, if you can imagine that. Well, he was a black guy. And I don't know in heaven if he's still black, or do we each have like a blended color? I don't know. That's a good question. I'll find out when I get there. I'll either say you're still black, or he'll say you're still white. But he used to say, in all sincerity, dude, you're the blackest white dude I've ever known. So I sang gospel music, and I still would sing gospel music. Give me a chance. Let me let it rip. So. But he would always joke about that. And so I have tons of black friends. I have tons of LGBT friends. I have tons of liberal friends. You say, well, how can you be? Look, it is not impossible because, first of all, people I really, really value, and these are people I really, really value, we treat each other with respect. We may disagree, but there's no name calling. There's none of that mess. And if you look at my Facebook, you'll see, in my social media in general, I'm on Instagram at the Ninja Pastor. I'm on Twitter at the Ninja Pastor. I'm on LinkedIn, the Facebook. We have the Ninja Pastor page and the Collision of Faith and Politics page. Go there and click on like or follow, whatever it is you're supposed to do. I don't know. I don't know what all that stuff is, but do that and share that stuff. That's awesome. My point in all that is that if you know me, you know I'm going to treat you with dignity and respect to give me a reason not to. The left, as far as the mainstream media narrative, is all designed for their propaganda. You say, well, you watch Fox News, and Fox News, you'll see they're the same way, but the opposite direction. Oh man, you watch too much Fox News, your brain will go bad. And I remember, I won't give the name, but I have a dear friend I don't get to communicate with very much anymore because she moved far away. But I remember she went to take care of her father, and when she was taking care of him, her sister, one of her sisters, would say her father had cancer. Well, one of the reasons why you have cancer is because you listen to Fox News. Now, this one with a PhD. Seriously, PhD in physics. I mean, she's super smart. Well, she literally believed that listening to Fox News was rotting his brain, and that's what gave him cancer. And, after he died, I saw her at the funeral, and I got along, and it's a funeral. I spoke at the funeral, it was a memorial service on his beautiful property, and I'm not gonna pick fights or anything like that. That's not the time or the place, and I don't want to pick fights. If you want to have a discussion based on facts, I love that. If we can help each other understand some things better, create some bridges, I'm for that. Well, she's now doing, I don't know how many years, a couple decades, she killed her son, killed her 11-year-old son, 10 or 11-year-old son. Turned out she was a raging alcoholic, and her husband was about to divorce her, and she had been driving drunk basically everywhere. And she went to pick up her son from school, albeit late, and she had her son in the car, and she crashed, and can't remember, she was going like 20 or 30 miles an hour over the speed limit. She was at 2 or 3 times the legal limit, and she killed her son. And so now she's in jail for that, which is where she should be. Now, I don't look at that and say, well, you got what's coming. No way, man. No way. The two are untethered, except for the fact that she's talking about Fox News is killing his brain. Well, alcohol was killing her brain. And it is unfortunate. Now she's sitting in jail. She has no husband, no son, and she got to live with that the rest of her life. And I don't pity her for it because she chose it. So here's where we stand. Here's where we stand. Thank you. Somebody. Oh, I'm on Tumblr. I forgot to tell you guys that. I'm on Tumblr. I just got this thing that said awesome post. I don't even know that I have Tumblr, but I'm going to have to spray for these ants. We brought some produce in from outside the house, and we brought some ants back in. I don't know how that happened. Dadgummit. Ants crawling all up on me. Time for a seek and destroy mission. Anyway. So thank you for sending me that great post on Tumblr. I'm not sure what I put on there, but thank you for doing it. Anyway, and I don't even know. The Ninja Pastor, maybe? I'm on Tumblr as the Ninja Pastor. That could be it. I don't know. If you go to Tumblr and you search that or search my name, probably it'll pop up. That's sad, isn't it? I don't even know what I'm on. Somebody just sent me a message saying, how's the book going? Well, it's going well. I'm trying to figure out what the title. The title is really working me over. Either The Fraud Life or Fraudulent Living, something to do with that. And the premise of the book is look, we get in this habit of lying, and it's devastating. It's absolutely devastating. Listen, you could lose the love of your life by telling a lie, and then another lie. And then it could just be one. You could tell one lie, and that's it. It's gone. For all eternity, love of your life, gone. Or it could be a series of lies. That's how it starts. I talked about one of the messages you might want to download is 7 levels of lying, or something along those lines. It has to do with lying. If you search lying, it'll be in there. But I have to tell you, it's rampant. And the press doesn't tell the truth. I talked about that in this message. I did a sermon on Sunday. Not this past Sunday, but a couple Sundays before. And they're out of control with it. But you know what? If we are out of control with it, little things and big things, medium things, so will they. There's no expectation that they're going to adopt some other, some other way of being. I mean, that's just it's just unrealistic, folks. It's just unrealistic. If we accept lying and obfuscation of the truth and nuancing and all of these things in our own lives, it's going to happen with us. It's going to happen with us, and it's going to happen with them, because that's the benchmark. And it can be extremely costly. I talk about it. You can lose everything. You can lose everything. Everything. And it's crushing. It's terrible. Getting back to honesty, it's a tough thing. And everybody struggles with it. Nobody should kid themselves or lie to themselves about it. We all struggle with it. It is a real thing. Hey, thank you, Craig. He said, that was a great lesson. Of course, I think they're all great. Man, that really touches me. It means the world to me. I'm telling you, I want you people to understand the fact that you do what you have to do to listen to me is one of the greatest honors of my lifetime. I remember the first standing ovation I got. It was one of the largest audiences. I think it was 3,800 people at that time, to a speaking. Now, I've sung the national anthem to 55,000 people, and they were standing anyway. That's back before people knelt down when the national anthem was being played. But I thought to myself, wow, I could think this was a standing ovation, but it's not. They were already standing. But it was fun to do, and I used to love to do it. But this audience I was speaking to, when they all stood up, and I wasn't finished the speech, it wasn't at the end of the speech, kind of caught me by surprise. And, I was fired up, and they told me that the guy that was on before me, he was stuck, couldn't get there, so would I be willing to take his time slot? Man, that's like crack. That's like crack to me, man. I was like, yeah. How long was he going to speak? 30 minutes? Awesome. So then she added up for me how long I would have, and she's like, can you fill that? And I was like, can I fill that? What do they say? Hold my beer. What's that meme? Hold my beer. Yeah, hold my beer. I'll be right back. And or whatever it is you drink. Hold my Coca-Cola. Hold my whatever. Birch beer. I do love me some birch beer now. The real birch beer. So anyway, I went and I spoke, and I was 35 minutes over, even with the 30 minutes extra time, or 40 minutes, how much ever it was. And but I loved it. But in between the speech, they stood up. Now, I've sung in black churches. I love doing that because I love the feedback. It's so lively. I've been there, and they do that. They stand up, and they'll talk back to you, and they'll stomp their feet, they'll dance, they'll jump around. I love it. I love it. I do. I love it, man. I love that feedback. I'm more of a live audience kind of guy anyway, so that's what I like to do. So, but I was given this speech. At that point, it was the largest group that I'd spoken to date, and so I when they stood up and they were clapping and people crying and all this stuff, and I don't know, this is a little tip for you. People will think that you can see them from the stage down into the audience, but I'm just going to tell you, after about the first one or two rows, if the audience is dark and the lights are on you, you can't see anything. Seriously, you can't see anything. It's very, very difficult. So they have to bring the house lights up and dim the lights on you so that you can actually see, because the lights are really bright and they're very, very high. Anyway, first time they did it, I kind of stopped. I was like, do they think I'm finished? And look, they all standing, and I'm not singing the national anthem. So what's up with that? Well, then I kind of caught myself and kept going, and it was fun. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I have no idea why I brought this up. So, well, whatever. We'll move on. Puerto Rico. The lying Main Street. Look, they want this to be President Donald Trump's Katrina. They want this to be, and let me say this to you. President Bush, I was not a huge fan of President Bush, but I've got to tell you something. He did a great job on Katrina. FEMA at that point was a mess. It was a mess, folks. It's still a mess. In all sincerity, FEMA is still a complete mess, but he's got all new leadership in there, President Trump, and he is in it to win it. He's not messing around. He's serious business. And so, I have to say, it's one of those things that, look, you can't take away from this man, from President Bush. He really was in it to win it. And I have to say, very impressive. Very impressive how he did with a very broken system and a corrupt government in New Orleans. Ray Nagin is now in federal penitentiary. So that ought to tell you something. The 1-point-something billion we gave the man to, we being you and me, the taxpayer, the 1-point-something billion we gave him to fix the levee system, fix the pumps, replace. The guy used most of that totally corrupt things, and I mean, that's why he's in jail. But the point of all this is this. They want to make, the mainstream media wants to make this all about, they don't like that so far President Trump's got a pretty good record. Now, you might look at Judge Moore, who's running for Senate there, running against Luther Strange. Obviously President Trump came and he stumped for Luther Strange. Now, let me just say, people are making a big deal of that. Listen, he's his own man. He's going to support who he's going to support. Luther Strange was very supportive and loyal to him. And, you say what you want about Donald Trump, he's a loyal guy. To his detriment, he is loyal. And he knows that it's to his detriment, and he doesn't care. He's about being loyal. And so he chose him. Nothing against Judge Moore. He wasn't making any judgment about him. He knew him, and he liked him, and that's how it is. But he said during his speech, look, if Roy Moore wins, I will support him. I will congratulate him, and I will support him, and I'll stump for him. I'll campaign for him, and I'll work hard as I can for the guy. And people made fun of him for that. Well, you're giving a speech for the one guy, and now you're saying, but if the other guy wins, I'll support him. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. No, he wasn't. He was making it very, very clear that, look, I am not a politician. I am in this to win it for the American people, for the great country of the United States of America. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'll do nothing less. You see what I'm saying? And I honor that. They made fun of him, but this is what they want to happen with him and Puerto Rico. Now, we need to understand some basic facts, folks. Puerto Rico is a freaking bunch of islands. Hold on, let me get a drink. I got some new tea today. You ever hear of this store called Lidl? They don't advertise. I don't get paid for advertising, so I just say their name because whatever. It's a new store where I live. Oh, yeah. They have this tea. It's an amazing store, and brand new in the town where I live. They have this tea. I probably shouldn't be drinking it, I guess. It has ginseng in it. It has a bunch of other stuff. I don't remember the other stuff, but I remember ginseng. But it's got a lemony thing. Oh, wait, no. The lemon, I fresh ground some lemons and put in there. Really good. Really, really good. Wow, do I love that. So good. So good. So here we are. We're looking at a group of islands, well out in the middle of the water. You're not driving down there. Look, we're not going to get a caravan. The Cajun Navy is not just going to be able to zip over there, right? It's far. It's way out there. And there's some folks, some good friends of mine who happen to be liberal. They said, hey, they called him a name, called him a effing idiot. And they said, which I understand they're mad, but they didn't have all the information. Shut up about the NFL and get over there and help Puerto Rico. You better get there. Well, I have inside information only because of the access that I have to very delicate places within our government and celebrities and things like that. Just not that I'm any big deal, but I just happen to have met some people and experienced some people and interacted with some people, and we've remained friends. I tend to try good stuff, good people. I try to stay in contact with them and be a friend to them. And I'll tell you this, as many celebrities as have protected and been around, let me tell you what, those people are very often on an island. And I've protected some really famous people, and I've hung out with some really famous people as friends, just me and them one-on-one. And I can tell you this, there's some lonely folk. It is not as easy as one would think. Anyway, the point is, a lot of times they're isolated. Well, a lot of people on the left, that's planned isolation. They want to keep them isolated so that they can be talked into being a mouthpiece for the cause. And usually that's the left, this left side. Well, anyway, this person was calling President Trump an effing idiot or effing stupid. That's what it was, because, you stop messing around with the NFL and get over there and help. People are dying. And I get that. It's frustration, but it's because she's been misinformed. And the reality of it is, he was pre-staging. He's the only president in history to ever do this, by the way. We're just gonna come out right now and say that the man, it's the only person in all of history, the president, only person in all of history, hold up, Alaska. You know how to make birch beer? I might have to go to Alaska. I love Alaska, by the way. Listen, if you've never been to Alaska, if you go during their summer, you understand the mosquitoes are beyond unreal. So you got to go prepared for that. There's nothing less than DEET. You can't be using that natural stuff because you will get ate up. And I don't mean just a little bit. It's not an annoying thing. It's huge. It's a major issue. But Alaska is amazing. Anyway, that's a plug for Alaska. Alaska doesn't play. But anyway, I hear in chat that you're going to get your daughter to make some birch beer. I don't know how you do that. I was just talking about buying it, but anyway. So the point is here we are. We're here with a president who the response, and let me say this. You all know this. This is not crazy to you. President Barack Obama, he was very political. It wasn't about who was the best for the job for him. It was who can fundamentally transform America to become what he wanted it to be. Well, here's a problem. And this is probably, well, let me put it to you this way. President Trump is all about who can do the best job for America. Who can do it? Let me talk to the people that are the best. And so people would look at, he's supposed to be this great executive. Look how many people have left the White House. Look how many people he's fired or whatever. Listen, the average length of time that a person is a press secretary in the White House is less than 6 months. You understand those people work 18-hour days. It's crazy. You've got communications directors and all these things. Steve Bannon said, he was very clear, very publicly clear. Look, if I'm in this job 6 months, I'll be shocked. And now people are making a big deal of Bannon was stumping for Roy Moore and President Trump was stumping for Luther Strange. Oh, there's a divide. The friendship is fractured. No, they're still friends. Don't you think that might be smart? By the way, do you think that might be smart? So far, President Trump has proven to be a way smarter guy than we ever imagined. And really and truly, some of the things that were his suggestions, by the way, he went to his guy that he picked for to head FEMA. Now, that's no easy task. You've got to tear the thing down. I started to say about Barack Hussein Obama's appointees. They're political in nature. They were not people that were extraordinary in their field. You look at Susan Power and all these different people that put in positions. They did that because, there's that eagle. He's out on the golf course. He's literally flying about 5 feet off the ground toward the pond. Just FYI. Sorry, but I'm into photographing and observing birds of prey, and these are amazing. And it's crazy. He's an immature eagle, but he is an eagle nonetheless. So what happened? By the way, let me interrupt myself. The Stabley family, the McIntosh family, I want to offer my condolences nationally. I did this Sunday on our Sunday show, and I want to do it here. But Jill's mother passed away, and we watched Jill take care of her father first until he passed and provided him the most unbelievable care one could ever see and receive. And then we watched her care for her mother, and her mother has passed. And so we will be memorializing her tomorrow and supporting the family. So we want you to know, if you happen to be listening, that we love you. We will be there for you, and anything you need, you let us know. And members of the Kehala, we hope and pray to show up at 1 p.m. for visitation, and then the service starts promptly at 2. We want to be a show of force there. Our Kehala is amazing, just absolutely amazing. So all that said, to say this, that President Trump was the first president to pre-stage, and he worked with his new guy who was, he was busy up until these things happened, tearing apart FEMA because it was just such a political mess, and getting the hacks out of there who literally were there to destroy this administration from within. The Department of Interior, Secretary Ryan Zinke. Now, Ryan Zinke was a former SEAL Team 6 commander. He was a career Navy SEAL. And then he went into politics in Montana, and then he's the Secretary of Interior now. And he has said he thinks a full 30% in there are holdouts from Barack Obama's administration and are there to destroy the Trump initiative and efforts. That's reality, folks, and we can pretend like that's not the case, but it is the case, and that's what they're doing there now, right? It's what they're doing. So we can accept that. So we have that same situation in the mainstream media. We have the overall way that information is being presented now. One of the reasons why the left wants to shred the internet or control the internet and control talk radio, remember we have net neutrality and all these things they're talking about doing, is because it's not because they want to be fair to us and give us a fair, no, it's they want to shut us up because we control talk radio. Conservatives control. So let's go with facts. So we have a guy who is so smart, and President Trump, he said, look, how about let's do this? Let's pre-stage some things as close as we can, as reasonably as we can, so that when it hits, if it's as bad as we're thinking it could be, that we can respond in a quicker, more efficient way. Well, we did that with Florida and Texas, and it was amazing. Listen, you look at that and go, well, there's people still without power. Well, there's still people that, their houses aren't rebuilt. Well, you understand this is billions of dollars. This is, and 80% of the help doesn't come from FEMA or the federal government. It comes from churches and charitable organizations that get in there and get after it. They're much more efficient. We know that. It's not necessarily a failing of government that it can only be relied on for 20%, although we'd love to see them come up to 80%. We'd love to see them come up higher. But the fact of the matter is faith-based institutions, private institutions, very, very good at getting in there and getting after it and being very direct. So here we go. We have this happening. Well, Puerto Rico, they already got hit by one, kind of a glancing blow. And now this other one comes, and it's 1 mile an hour, literally 1 mile an hour from a Category 5 hurricane. But it hits it straight on. It hits Puerto Rico straight on. Listen, Barbuda, flattened. Literally flattened. You understand what I'm saying here? FLAT, not Flat Stanley, flattened. All gone. You look at the pictures of it, it's stunning. Well, this little friend of mine says, stop tweeting about the NFL, and get to Puerto Rico. People are dying. Effing stupid. Well, here's the reality. I'm going to share with you what the reality is. Here's what the military is doing. And I'm giving you this update on Puerto Rico because the media hasn't done any of this. I mean, they want it to be. And somebody just sent me a message, and I appreciate this message. I really do. Well, what about Fox News? How come Fox News is, they're not helping because you don't see a lot of it. You got Geraldo on there talking about how bad it is, and nobody's been there, nobody's seen anything. Look, they'll walk around until they interview somebody that hasn't had any help yet. And Alaska in chat just pointed out something very powerful. The Clinton Foundation would have made a fortune on these disasters, and they absolutely would. Here's the interesting thing. They made a fortune on Haiti. Remember that big, huge disaster that happened in Haiti years ago? The Clinton Global Initiative and the Clinton Foundation, all these different things that they have, they're pretend. They're fundraisers for their own personal lifestyle and for, political ambition. A tiny percentage, not even 10%, ever gets to the thing. Well, they did that in Haiti. They collected hundreds of millions of dollars, and then they totally screwed the people over. I mean, the people go to Haiti and mention Clintons, and you will see they'll go, we hate them. They're liars. They're thieves. And they are. They absolutely are. So now we have this situation here where Hurricane Maria, they've struck Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. So remember, these are way out to sea. They're far. Can't drive there. You can't do a caravan. You can't have a bunch of 18-wheelers. So now, why don't they send the Navy? The Navy was literally steaming there the first safe day where they could steam there. People say, well, why weren't they steaming there? Those are big ships. They can handle hurricanes. I've been on I've actually jumped off of a aircraft carrier. And I'm just going to tell you something. I've been on it when it moved. People say, oh, that's impossible. It's a floating city. There's like 5,000 or 7,000 people on them. Let me tell you something. You're out in the middle of the ocean. During a storm, newsflash, it will move on you. And so you've got all these supplies, you've got all these things, and there are other places doing other things. We don't just go, oh, wait, go here. Oh, wait, go there. I mean, there's mission objectives, there's supplies set up, there's all of these things that are set up to happen. They can't just turn on a dime. I'm fond of saying you can't turn the Titanic on a dime. You can't turn the Titanic in a teacup. So there you have it. But President Trump got all of his people and said, look, we got to help these people. We need to be prepared. This is what we need to do. And they did it. So the first day that they could safely steam there, they did. Well, no one in all of history has ever had to deal with a double, like this is a combination shot, right? Left, right, left of the body, right cross, knockout blow. So this is new territory. We're having to work on the fly here, and this is also a new FEMA director who is trying to make it right. And he's fighting all the corruption there in FEMA, and he's trying to make it right. And so he's hard at it. So they're together. So here it is. The Defense Department has dispatched approximately 2,600 troops to aid. Now that number has gone up by over 1,200 today. 1,800 more today. So 2,600 and 1,800. Troops to aid Hurricane Maria victims in the U.S. Virgin Islands and in Puerto Rico, where access to power and communications remains severely limited 5 days after the Category 4, again, that's 1 mile per hour under a Category 5, storm struck the U.S. territory. Now, let me pause here a second. And I alluded to this before, and I think it's very important that we're clear on this. There are no building codes in Puerto Rico. Build whatever you want. Build it however you want. Right? We're not oppressing them. We give them a whole lot of money, trillions of dollars, over the past, I think it's 10 or 15 years. It's a huge number, whatever it is, a lot of zeros. And there's massive corruption at all levels in Puerto Rico, by the way. Massive corruption, massive crime. So that money didn't go where it was supposed to go because there weren't a whole lot of people on the checks and balances of this deal. So I want you to understand that just from Jump Street, the place was in bad shape. They were bankrupt. We kept floating them. Well, now we have, I don't know, $94 billion they owe us? Or 64 or some number like that, some huge number, more than I got in my pocket. And so they were defaulting. And I almost guarantee you, I don't know about guarantee, but I would almost guarantee you that and this is straight up, I believe that the United States government and this administration will begin talks about forgiving their massive, massive debt. And starting from here, I understand why they would do that. I do understand why they would do that. The place is obliterated. Seriously, it's obliterated. Puerto Rico is obliterated. Many of the Virgin Islands obliterated. Right? There's people sleeping outside in very, very hot, humid temperatures. They've got no power. They haven't showered in 5, 6, 7 days. Fuel is in short supply there, if available at all. The ATMs don't work. Nothing works. And then my buddy Steve, he's a professional prepper, and my buddy Ken, which by the way, I'll be doing the photography for Ken Chumley's book. Still working on a title. We'll be doing that in October. But Ken, he's the guy I told you built his own 75-foot boat that he lives on. Designed it and built it himself. This guy knows prepping, let me tell you. He's a genius. He's a genius anyway, but not just about prepping, but in any form or fashion. But the fact of the matter of it is, what this has shown us is we are woefully unprepared. You make fun of preppers all you want, but how about a prepper that has 30 gallons of gasoline saved back? How about a prepper who has 1 year of food saved back? How about a prepper who has, rechargeable things, battery supplies, power supplies, solar power supplies, and fuel, propane, and all the different things that you can power a generator and a means to run the generator? How about a guy who has ammunition and guns and knows how to use them and has worked on medical supplies and learning a little bit about how to provide medical first. Look, this is all real stuff, my friends. This is all real stuff. You say we don't think it would happen. Well, it's happened. It's happened in multiple countries, on multiple islands, And they're developed places. We're not talking about, places never been touched by the hand of man. We're talking about places, and these are people that live. People say, well, what about the internet? Well, they don't have the internet now. Cell towers are down. They have no means of reaching to the outside world. People are frantically trying. You imagine being a person that goes online 200 to 300 times a day. You check, okay, what's going on here? Yeah, all right, let's go. All right, go. Yeah, all right. Scroll. You do this. I don't know how many times, but my point in this is that that's your life. That's what you do, right? That's what you do. That's what you do. It's how we live. It's our life. We're living a life that is very luxurious, really, for the most part. So then that all of a sudden stops. You have no internet. You have no cell phone. I don't know about you, but I don't have a landline phone. I only have my cell phone. And there's a lot of people, a huge percentage of people all across the country, they don't have a landline anymore. So you don't have any means of communication. You don't have any means of people reaching you and getting, in contact with you. You don't have that. All of a sudden, you don't have that. You haven't been able to shower. You haven't been able to even wash your face. You've got to walk through sewage that is now backing up through the streets because these streets are still flooded, my friends. So President Trump is going there on Tuesday. He's going there on Tuesday. Tell Joe I said hello and I miss her. Tell her that I miss her and that I love her. You can tell her both those things. And I bet the picture is kind of cool. And I bet the frame is cool and all that stuff. A lot of class. Got a lot of style. Anyway, so you go from that. President Trump, by the way, I was asked, when's he going? He's going on Tuesday. And he's going on Tuesday not because he wanted to wait as long as he could, but because the military people, the FEMA people, all the different people there on the ground, which he has been praised by the governor of Puerto Rico and the mayor of San Juan. These are liberal people. These are liberal politicians. And they have praised him up one side and down the other. And many of the people there have praised him. But you're not going to see a lot of interviews with that. You're not going to see that published. Anyway, so he'll be there on Tuesday. If you, I don't even know if you'll hear about it. But then the narrative will be, oh, look, he's going to try to get a political points. He's only going there to score political points. Let me interrupt myself here on the Puerto Rico report. Just drop some facts on you. I'm very fortunate. I have friends who are Secret Service guys. I have friends that I trained with and did different things for that worked for me at different points that are now, one of their jobs is to protect the president, protect the president's family, different things like that. And I can tell you they're with the president 16 hours a day. I also know a guy who has known the president, been with the president for, I think, 15 or 17 years. I can't remember what it is now. It's slipping my mind, but it's at least 15 years, could be 17. Anyway, been with him 16 hours a day. And these guys know the President Trump and the Trump family very, very well. They know the truth about them. Because, I don't know if you know, that they don't pretend. And if a Secret Service person, and I'll just lay this out for you. This is just some drops of knowledge time here. If a Secret Service person doesn't like the president, you say, well, how do you like your protectee? How do you like the president? You elect them, we protect them. They don't like them, that's what they say. You elect them, we protect them. If they like them, they're going to tell you they like them. You see what I'm saying? They're going to tell you, man, he's awesome. I've not heard a negative thing yet about this president or his family. Not one negative thing. All I've heard is, holy moly. Man, oh man. What great people. What nice people. President Trump is so pro-America. He's so, for the people. And he's so just, he works so hard and he treats people with such dignity and respect. Totally opposite of what you hear on the press. We do not have wired in a separate panel for our generator. I got a bid on that. It was like $900 to $2,000. They varied that much, so we don't have that. I have solar on the roof, and and I lease that, and then I have a generator, a 10,600 kilowatt generator, but I don't have that wired in, and I don't know how to do that. But there's huge money to get it done, so I haven't done it. There's a question in chat. So the story you're hearing about him and them, it's just crap. It's just total crap, and I get tired of it. Now, let me say this. You guys know early on I wasn't a supporter of him. When he was one of 16 running, I wasn't. But the longer that thing went on, the more I started to realize this guy knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy. We've been saying for all these years, you know what? We need a businessman. Well, you know what we needed? We needed a Manhattan businessman that knew how to kick people in the teeth and say, look, let's get this thing done. Let's stop talking politics, stop lining your own pockets. Let's get this thing done. America's in desperate need. We need help. Anyway, all that said to say this. Look, the times that we're in are incredible. And so let me go back to this report, because if I don't do this, I at least want to get finished this. The military is focused primarily on conducting search and rescue operations, delivering life-sustaining supplies, and providing generators and fuel to power critical infrastructure such as water treatment facilities and hospitals, Army Colonel Rob Manning, a Pentagon spokesman, said Monday. Let me say this about that. I've had people actually say to me, why don't they have those nuclear ships go up there and then just plug them in and get the power from, they can do that, right? Just sit there and let the nuclear plant run and plug them in. Well, that's stupid, and it's naive, and it's pedantic, and it's dreamland, but they're actually going to try it. They're going to try to figure out a way if they can use it to generate power. Pretty amazing. Whose idea was that? President Trump. He said, is there any way? Engineers, smart people. How do we do this? Is there a way? Yeah, I know we're not going to plug a big plug in, an extension cord, and plug it in over there, but what can we do? What are things that we can do? I read this today, or I saw this guy on he was a press person, pundit. Let me just tell you this. The guy actually said, this is why solar is so important, because if we had solar power, if we embrace solar power instead of rejecting it, you know what? They would have power right now. Well, let me just tell you this. I'm just going to tell you. I'm just going to tell you. I mean, this is just as real as it gets. If the roof blew off of the houses, don't you think the solar panels blew off too? Come on now. Let's not be stupid. That's just the bottom line. That's reality. Anyway, delivering life-sustaining supplies and providing generators and fuel to power critical infrastructure such as water treatment facilities and hospitals. This is Rob Manning. He's a colonel with the Army. So the Army's there. National Guard is there. There's lots of people that are there. The Army Corps of Engineers is there. And they've been there since the first second they could get there. They've been there. Fact number one. Military units were also conducting route and airfield clearance in Puerto Rico. Now, he said, why didn't the president go there? Because the airport was destroyed. If you weren't in the helicopter, you're in serious trouble. Yes, Steve from Ohio, Craig, wind turbines. They have wind turbines there. It blew them over. Destroyed them. It's just absolutely amazing. So anyway, so Manning says, they're trying to conduct route and airfield clearances. Well, what's that mean? Well, you've got to go through with saws and electrical people who know electric, and there's lines down, and there's grid is destroyed. The grid was in terrible shape. Now let me say this about the grid. Look, our grid here is terrible. You say, well, why didn't the Republicans fix that? Listen, how long have we had Democrat presidents? Power grid. They're all the time getting money for it. Nothing ever gets fixed. Nothing ever gets changed. It makes no sense. I don't care whose fault it is, by the way. I don't care whose fault it is. I really don't. Fix the thing. Shut up and fix it. Bottom line. So, Marines and sailors from the USS Kearsarge, a Wasp-class amphibious assault ship now in the Caribbean Sea, were deployed Sunday on the island for the mission. Meanwhile, Puerto Rican National Guard members were conducting similar clearance operations while also helping evacuate victims and installing temporary communications infrastructure. Now, let me say this about that. don't skip over what I just said and not get the point in this. Puerto Rico National Guard members, they live in Puerto Rico. They've lost their homes. They've lost family. They don't have a place to go home to. They're searching for friends and family as well as strangers. They don't know when their next paycheck or shower is going to come from. They don't know. They're eating MREs just like anybody else. So they're conducting these clearance operations. They're doing all that they can to evacuate. Listen, it's a big country, 3.4 million people on that little island, big island, and it's difficult. But you can't get from one place to the other. Helicopter-borne troops from the Kearsarge have conducted 8 medical evacuation missions this week. That's up to 22 now, and delivered about 22,200 pounds, which that's up to 44,000 pounds of supplies and cargo to Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, Manning said. The Kearsarge was initially deployed to respond to Hurricane Harvey when the storm struck the Texas coast in late August. So they're steaming from Texas. They had to turn and go to Puerto Rico. I don't know if you know, but that doesn't happen in 10 seconds, right? It's not an aircraft, it's a ship. The ship has since been used to respond to Hurricane Irma and Maria. The Pentagon on Monday also deployed 8 UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters from Fort Campbell in Kentucky to San Juan to help officials in Puerto Rico distribute goods across the island, Manning said. Officials have estimated it will be months before power is restored in some parts of the island that is home to 3.4 million people. Now, at this point, there are a lot of people, generally on the left, that will say, well, that's unacceptable. We can't have that. There are going to be thousands and thousands of people, tens of thousands of people that are going to die before then. People can't live like this. Well, they're going to have to. Why? Because you can't build an entire country's power grid from scratch after taking all of the scrap. Where are you going to put it? It's an island, folks. Where are you going to put all this stuff that's destroyed? Building materials, dangerous things, electrical wires, poles, whole buildings, plumbing, sewage. What do you do with all this when you're on an island? You say, well, these people, that's their job. That's what they're supposed to. No, it's not their job. This is no one's job. We're making it up from here on out. We're going, okay, this has happened. We didn't think it could, but guess what? We got to do this. We got to do this. Let's find a way. Well, then why don't they just do whatever they can? Let's get it done. Do whatever they can. Well, folks, here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. Doing whatever you can and putting a Band-Aid on it, and then, oh, wait, that didn't work. You've wasted hundreds of millions, if not, billions of dollars for something that didn't work that you didn't think things through. TTT, think it through. These people are accountable for every dime that they spend. These government people, administration people, they want to do it right. They don't want anybody to die any more than you or I do. The fact of the matter of it is, this is unlike anything in all of history. It's never happened this way before. Seriously, never happened this way before. So the Army Corps of Engineers personnel on Monday were helping inspect the Wajataka Dam, a critical levee in Puerto Rico's northwest corner that is in danger of breaking. Puerto Rico Governor Ricardo Rossello on Friday ordered 70,000 inhabitants, now it's 100,000, near the dam to evacuate. Why? Because the levee, it's more of a levee than it is a dam. It's really serving as a dam, but it's a levee. So they've got to evacuate because it's already breaching in many spots. This is really, really bad. You know what I'm saying? This is bad news. The military has pledged to provide as much help as the federal government asked of it in response to Maria and the 2 earlier storms that ravaged parts of Texas, Louisiana, Florida, and the Caribbean. So you say you don't mind us running at a massive, gazillion-dollar debt as a country. Now, by the way, under President Trump's leadership already, I don't know the numbers. Maybe Jerry from Pennsylvania, you know the numbers. But he's reduced our national debt by just an insane number. It's an insane number in just this short period of time. Absolutely. You say, well, it's important services that are being cut and people need that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, debt's not bad. That's how you do. That's what you do. Here's the reality of it. Listen, to be in such debt is a security risk. China owns us, people. China owns us. That's the fact. They own us. We're so in debt to them. They hold so much of our debt. So we go from there to this. Okay, now all of a sudden, who are we going to borrow this money from? We don't have it, folks. We don't have this money. Now, you could ask every American to give, hey, how about a 10 spot? Every week, would you be willing to send in $10 to this address? $10, $40 a month. Well, then that's unfair because less than 50% pay taxes. So now we're going to ask the 50%, well, what we need it. It's an emergency. It's a catastrophe of biblical proportion. We need it. Okay, so these people are being asked to give more money and more money. They're already given more than any other generation in history. Look, where's the money going to come from? You say, well, it has to come from somewhere. I love that liberal response. Has to come. We need it. It has to happen. There's no other option. Okay, well, print some then. You like, Zimbabwe inflation? How much is that piece of bread? 1,455,000. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. But the military has pledged. They said, hey, we're going to be in it to win it. But guess what? When that military is there doing that, guess what they're not doing? Protecting this country. Got thousands of troops that are no longer protecting this country. You say, well, they are our country. That's what they need them for. But guess what? We've got lots of enemies, including the crazy fat dude with the bad haircut over in North Korea, that he just can't wait to let one fly at us. Just can't wait. Anyway, thousands of U.S. troops remain committed to operations in Texas and Florida in response to Harvey and Irma, but their relief efforts have not stretched the Pentagon too thin, Manning said Monday. We have the capability to do exactly what we're doing, and we're going to do all we can for the people of Puerto Rico and the Caribbean in the wake of these disastrous storms. This is a long-term effort. It is a marathon, not a sprint, and the Defense Department will continue to support them as long as support is needed. So, there's that. So this was information, by the way, I didn't make this up. This is information provided by the Department of Defense. Now, a guy named Nick Contompasas, he wrote this. Here's a comment by a police officer that was left under a post about the NFL. It's something to think about. Yes, I'm switching gears to the NFL. As a police officer, I had no right to bring my protest to the job. As a police officer, even protesting while not on duty could cost you your job. One man started this right after converting to Islam. And folks, after having Obama in office for 8 years, seeing the, air quotes, fundamental change that he brought to this country, if you do not see the connection between Colin Kaepernick's conversion to Islam and the destruction of a game we loved as Americans and the hate that is now being felt by people that did not hate before, I really don't know what else to say to you. Now, the person who said this is anonymous. Obviously, he's a police officer. Let me say this to you about that. I was a police officer for several years. And during that time, the Rodney King thing happened. And I will tell you that we had to do riot training. Now, I was in detectives at the time. And so we had to go out and we had to do riot training. Yeah, everybody did. Patrol, everybody. You had to bone up on your riot training. That's just how it was. Because we expected riots, Wilmington, Delaware, there's going to be all kinds of unrest, and that's what we were preparing for. Well, it was hot, and during the training, one particular, there were a couple that had converted to Islam, but one particular black officer that was also in detectives, I remember I had a question, and it was a valid question because the instructor kind of contradicted himself. He said, this is the command that you do this on. And this is the command you do this. Then when we were doing the practice, he had reversed it. And I want to make sure I didn't reverse it in my head. So I raised my hand. He said, any questions? I said, a minute ago you said this, but we did that. Now we're doing this, and you said this. I just want to make sure I have it right and I didn't misunderstand, because I might have totally misunderstood. And he goes, oh, man, I did say that wrong, didn't I? And he said, well, it's been a while. There's mothballs in my riot gear. Well, this black police officer he was actually in the drug unit. He kind of fronted on me. Now I was a much bigger guy even back then. I was just about 6'4", 240s, 250s. Strong, fierce, multiple black belts, lots of very advanced training, way more than the police would ever provide to me. And I can tell you this: the guy wanted to fight me. and that didn't go well for him. And I got in trouble. He didn't get in as much trouble because everybody's very sensitive, at that point in time. I got more trouble because I was a white guy. Well, I was defending myself. Well, thankfully, I had a couple of my black friends, yes, I have black friends on the department that went to the captain and said, this ain't none of Greener's fault here. He did this. This other guy did this from the start. I watched it develop. I watched him complaining and cussing and all this stuff. And, he shouldn't be forced to do this. And he's not going to go against his brothers. And he'll walk off and lay his stuff down. And so then they had him in there and they read him the riot act. Did they fire him? No, they did not. Should they have? Yeah, they should have. They should have. Absolutely should have. So here we go. I know what these things can be like. I do. I know what they can be like. And I'm telling you, if you don't think Colin Kaepernick has converted to Islam, he has a Muslim, militant Muslim girlfriend who he is trying to impress. His career was completely collapsing. Completely collapsing. His skill set was completely falling apart. And, then she gets with her, and I'm not blaming it on her, but got to keep it going. You got to stay relevant. Got to stay relevant. So, here we are. This is where we are now. So this is what started it, because he alleged that, police officers were just willy-nilly killing black people, running around killing black people. Filling the black community with drugs and guns and all this stuff, and then they would go in and they just kill them willy-nilly. And nothing would happen to them. They just never be in trouble. I mean, every day there's more black people being murdered, mostly young black men. And this is when he's saying, I'm not going to stand for a flag and stand for an anthem that is racist, patently racist. This is how it all happened. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember this. So let me clear something up right here, right now. The NFL, as an organization now, it's a tax-free organization. I don't know if they still are, but they were, because they were a club. So they didn't pay taxes. Make gazillions of money, gazillions of dollars. They don't pay taxes. They are patently irrelevant, and the NFL is a liar. This is just a fact. The NFL is irrelevant, and they lie. Why? This is on a blog post on theninjapastor.com. I wrote that. Because President Trump's, this is what they're saying now, is the reason why this Sunday happened is because if President Trump would have just been quiet, let it die down, there wouldn't have been this going on. Well, there still were. But then all of a sudden they get together and they say, oh, President Trump said that we're sons of bitches. And so now all of a sudden, we're going to join together. We're going to unite. Well, that's what he said. And he said it during his Alabama speech. I have to say, I have to agree with it. But he didn't start this whiny crap from the NFL players. And their choice to disrespect our flag and the national anthem by either not showing, hiding out in the thing, in the locker room, or by kneeling during this blood-spattered anthem and flag. That's their choice. That choice began when they were ungrateful and intentionally miseducated. Now, I'm going to say this to you. In this day and age, if you believe the wrong thing, it's because you're unwilling to dig deep enough to know what the right thing is. Now, have I been wrong about some things before? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'd be a fool if I didn't admit that. I know that for a fact. But systematically, as part of your systematic miseducation, this was in their hearts. They intentionally miseducated themselves in their heart and their minds what they think a long time ago. Not for nothing, look, despite being wealthy, mostly free college, you got to remember these college-educated NFL players, most of them, you get to the NFL, most of them are scholarship athletes. They've got not academic, some of them are academic scholars, but a very small percentage, but most of them are sports. This is how they went to college. I'm not against that. I'm not against it at all. But the average NFL player who went to college for free and is now making millions of dollars gets arrested almost as often as the average American does. So I'm asking you this. First of all, should we really be listening to this group of men? Somehow or another, they know more than we know. They haven't lived on the streets in a long time. They're treated like kings in college. They get away with everything in college, and then they get in the pros. Oh, man, what do you do for a living? I'm a professional football player. Oh, drinks on me. Lunch on me. Gets pulled over by a police officer. What do you do for a living? I play on the such and such. Oh, really? Oh, man. Well, let me give you a ride home instead of a DUI. You don't want that to happen. I understand how things could happen. All right, we'll help you out. This one time. Can you autograph this for my son? So are they a credible source of truth? That somehow or another they know about black men and what happens to them in the inner cities. Now, this is what really torqued me. There's, how we go over, the NFL goes over to London every year. I think it's twice a year, and they play a football game. Why they do it, I don't know, exposing them. I just don't understand. I don't understand the point there. But whatever, they do it. So even while playing in the United Kingdom on foreign soil, they disrespected our soldiers. They knelt instead of standing during our national anthem. But then, when God Save the Queen, the anthem of the UK, which, by the way, a country that was a far greater purveyor of slavery than the United States ever was, they stood for that. And I'm telling you, the flag these players so desecrate, it waves only on the last breaths of our soldiers who gave all for that very flag that they so disrespect. Now these spoiled brats, they're complaining and whining. The President Trump is bullying me. And that's why I'm kneeling. And he bullied me. He called me a son of a bitch. Why they're kneeling or why they're hiding in the locker room so players wouldn't have to decide whether to stand or kneel for the national anthem. Well, we're just going to be quiet. We're just going to be quiet. We're going to be hidden. That way they can't say we stood. The way we can't say that we knelt. We just do that. Now, I want to reiterate this. This is the same president they're blaming for this. Same president, President Donald Trump, that prior to becoming president of the United States of America, he was thought of as a great uniter of races and gender, quite frankly. In nearly all that he did as a private businessman and a world-renowned celebrity, he's gotten awards for being a uniter. Now, also, remember this too. This entire act originated with Colin Kaepernick. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Institutional police abuse and racism from police officers on black men. Just killing them willy-nilly. Proven. Hands up, don't shoot, by the way. Big fat lie. It was proven conclusively, and the guy that told that admitted, I made it all up. Now, let me bring up the players and coaches. Again, this is in my blog post at theninjapastor.com under blog. It's the first one you'll see there. The entire coach corps and players of the Pittsburgh Steelers, except for one Army combat veteran that had 3 tours in Afghanistan. He was a United States Military Academy or West Point grad. Veteran. He served 3 tours as an Army Ranger. Lost many of his friends who flew home under that flag. Let me tell you something too. I want to make this clear. That's the same American flag that his friends flew home under on their casket, and that same flag was fastidiously folded and reverently handed to a Gold Star family who now look at that American flag entirely differently. Alejandro Villanueva. He was the only member of the Pittsburgh Steelers team who stood and honored the flag of the United States of America. What was Sunday? Sunday was National Gold Star Mother Day. Gold Star Mother's Day. Trust me on this. Nobody gets it more than a Gold Star parent, spouse, or child. If you go to that blog post, you'll see a picture that is now famous. It's been shared, I think, 3 or 4 million times. That I took of my good friend, Karen Vaughn, Aaron Carson Vaughn, Special Operations Chief, United States Navy SEAL, DevGru. I'm going to tell you something. On August 6, 2011, he and 30 of his compatriots were murdered. And I just happened to be, carried her there. I think it was Memorial Day. Carried her there. We went there together, go to Section 60, visit the boys and the dog. And we stood at this grave, and I was standing there, and I remember looking at her and being heartbroken. We had just placed some Swedish fish and some other things at the grave, put some coins on top, and different things, and all this, and she kind of bowed her head, and I just happened to notice that her silhouette was on the stone. I couldn't have planned it. I just clicked a picture, and I asked her afterwards. Some people have asked me, does she mind you taking that picture? Look, I've shown it to her. I've shared it with her. She shared it a whole bunch of times. I asked her, I said, do you mind if I share this with people? And she said, absolutely not. Not a problem. Because people need to know what the cost is, right? Gold Star parent, spouse, or child. Listen, folks, nobody gets it more than they get it. She was just on Fox News, by the way, talking about this, and I did a link to the video on the thing. If you want to, on my website, theninjapastor.com, click on blog, and you'll see it right there. So you go there, and where it says click here for video, underneath that picture, you click on here, it'll link you right to it, and you'll be all set. Share it while you're at it. The post, by the way. So combat veteran and decorated war hero, West Point, United States military graduate, U.S. Army Ranger, Pittsburgh Steeler, Alejandro Villanueva, bucked his entire team by standing out front. He led the way. Now, Rangers lead the way. That's what the motto of the Rangers is. Rangers lead the way. Villanueva, he took nationally televised criticism from his own coach, Mike Tomlin, for not siding with the rest of the Steelers football team. Now, I'm not for that. I'm not down with that. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm not down with that. That was wrong. I don't think what Villanueva did was wrong. I think what Coach Mike Tomlin did was wrong. By the way, huge contributor, had a huge fundraising party for Hillary Rodham Clinton. Mike Tomlin did, just so you know. America doesn't agree. Listen, Villanueva since has publicly stated that he feels badly he disrespected his coach and team. I don't think that he did, but he was under intense pressure. Somebody says, well, he needs to be able to stand that pressure. He's a 6'8", almost 300 pound, blah, 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 yada, yada. Look, easier said than done when millions of dollars are on the line. And remember, this guy he came out of the United States Military Academy, and then he went straight into war. 3 tours of training up for war, in between tours, 3 tours. And when he got out, he became a Pittsburgh Steeler. Well, he's lost years of his career, his lucrative career. He's lost years of that. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I think it's an equally unfair employment pressure. I think it's unfair. I think completely unfair. That was applied to Villanueva's wallet to make that statement apologizing for what he did. Do you think so? I think so. I think intense and politically equally unfair employment pressure was applied to this man. Hence why he made the statement that he made. Ben Roethlisberger. Now, I followed Ben's career when he was at Ohio University in Ohio, Athens, Ohio. He came out in support of Villanueva, and he said he regrets not coming out. And I like that about Roethlisberger, but I want you to understand, well, why didn't he do like Ben Roethlisberger? He was in military and combat. He should have had the strength to do it. Listen, Big Ben, he's at the end of his very, very lucrative career. Big Ben has made a huge amount of money in his career. He's at the end of it. Villanueva, he spent all those years attending the military academy and then going in, becoming a ranger, and doing 3 combat tours. So he's at the beginning of his very shortened military service, shortened NFL career. He has a family to feed, bills to pay. Look, I'm disappointed that he collapsed under this pressure, but I understand this pressure. Amen, Alaska. I understand him, I respect him, and I forgive him. Amen. And let me tell you something. I don't think he'll ever forgive himself. But I want you to read this from Big Ben. This is the statement that Big Ben wrote. I was unable to sleep last night and wanted to share my thoughts and feelings. And there's a link to this too. I have this there, and there's a link to it. You just click on the first several words on theninjapastor.com under blog. You'll see it. Click on that. It'll take you right to his webpage. I try to make it easy as soon as I learn how to do something that makes it easier for you, then I try to deploy that knowledge and make it easier for you. That's all. I wanted to share my thoughts and feelings on our team's decision to remain in the tunnel for the national anthem yesterday. The idea was to be unified as a team when so much attention is paid to things dividing our country, but I wish we approached it differently. We did not want to appear divided on the sideline with some standing and some kneeling or sitting. As a team, it was not a protest of the flag or the anthem. I personally don't believe the anthem is ever the time to make any type of protest. For me and for many others on my team and around the league, it is a tribute to those who commit to serve and protect our country, current and past, especially the ones that made the ultimate sacrifice. I appreciate the unique diversity in my team and throughout the league and completely support the call. Now, by the way, 75% of the NFL is black. So there's not as much diversity as Big Ben's talking about. It's predominantly black. Let's get that number out there. And I completely support the call for social change and the pursuit of true equality. Moving forward, I hope standing for the anthem shows solidarity as a nation, that we stand united in respect for the people on the front lines, protecting our freedom and keeping us safe. God bless those men and women. I got to hand it to Big Ben. That's awesome that he said that. Because let me tell you something, he's facing a lot of crap for it too. Now, great controversy. Look, inarguable. This controversy is huge. People say, why is everybody talking about it? Why is everybody talking about it? Let me tell you something. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. Alejandro Villanueva's football jersey is outselling all others as of the time that I wrote this article yesterday by a long shot. And I'm going to tell you, this is how it happens. Americans, vote with your wallets. Vote for things and vote against things. Jerry from Pennsylvania is right. The NFL is committing suicide. Next stop, NBA. Both leagues begin with national. They begin with national. They represent all of us. Here's the crazy thing. The NBA has, I think, a higher percentage of black players and participants than the NFL even. It's a huge number. When you're talking about 3/4 of them are black, you can no longer say that they are a diverse group. You can no longer whine about, well, we don't have enough people in this position or that position, not enough black coaches, not enough black this, that, not enough black quarterbacks. It's stupid. It's a big fat lie. But I want you to know, Americans, you're voting with your wallets. You're buying a bunch of his jerseys, Alejandro Villanueva. And after Ben Roethlisberger came out with this, his are now selling again. His didn't sell very much just because, like I said, he's at the end of his career. But how about Tim Tebow, folks? You ever watch ESPN, CBS Sports, NBC Sports, any of those? You ever watch those and watch how they ridiculed Tim Tebow? Ridiculed him. They consistently ridiculed this guy. Now, I happen to be a huge fan. It's no secret to anybody. 4 days after my crash, I was supposed to protect Tim Tebow. I was so excited about it. You just don't even know. He's one of the greatest humans to walk this planet. I'm telling you this. And phenomenal athlete, by the way. People make fun of him. People make fun. Oh, well, he didn't make it in the NFL. You know what? He had more opposition to him in the NFL than any human being I think could ever face. And he did it with grace. He did it with class. And he took a team, quite honestly, in Denver that would have never made the playoffs. And he single-handedly dragged them into the playoffs. I got to hand it to the guy. He didn't have an easy way there. So physically gifted. They say, well, it's throwing mechanics. That's a bunch of bull. Build a team around the throwing mechanics of your quarterback. Newsflash. Broke nearly every record at Florida for rushing and passing and touchdowns and yards. The point is this. Tim Tebow, his jersey consistently outsold all others during his time in the NFL. The American people, you voted with your wallet. I have 2 of them. I have a New York Jets one, and I have a Denver one. You remember? He'd kneel privately. He didn't make a big deal out of it. I have a bunch of pictures of him doing it on there. He didn't make a big deal out of it. He didn't go right in front of the cameras and go, hey, everybody look at me. He just would drop to a knee, and he'd pray. Give honor and glory to God. Not a big show. It wasn't a big show. The only people making a big show were these anti-God, anti-Christ, anti-faith commentators. From an obviously heavily leftist ESPN, ABC, NBC, heavily leftist. He was constantly ridiculed for quietly expressing his faith. Yet, that's when it's actually brave to kneel, folks. That's when it's brave, when you're praying to God and giving glory to God and honor to God and saying, hey, thank you, Father, for allowing me to do this just now, allowing my team. Pretty flippin' extraordinary as far as you ask me. And by the way, his first at-bat in the minor leagues for the New York Mets was a home run. He's hit a whole bunch of them since. People say, well, he's no good as a baseball player. They're only keeping him there for ticket sales. No, he's doing amazing. He's doing amazing. Will he ever play in the bigs? Probably not. Who cares? Who cares? The guy is changing lives. He's blessing lives. And I'm going to say this. If these NFL racist, and I'm going to say it, racist millionaire whiners want so badly to change the way their people are treated by police, go ahead and invest your money and influence in improving the lives within these communities where you say all this is happening. Instead of building this giant mansion, Colin Kaepernick, instead of building this humongous mansion where people that you say are so maligned and so mistreated by the police, move to their neighborhood. Go on and get there. Shine a light on if it's happening. And I want to remind you, this whole hands up, don't shoot was a big fat lie, perpetrated by money-hungry race baiters who have no attachment to the truth, only their wealth and influence at the cost of the truth. Now, some people have said to me, and I appreciate this. I appreciate this. I really do. People said, man, black people are always getting shot by cops. It ain't right. And they get to stay on their job. They don't lose anything. Well, let me tell you something. The guy who shot Michael Brown lost everything. He's lost everything. For real. Everything. Everything. He lives in hiding. Can't get a job. He's broke. That's reality. And he was in the right. So there's an article. There's a link to it on the website. You can click on it, read the rest of the thing. According to this narrative, black men are constantly harassed by the police and routinely brutalized with impunity, even when they've done nothing wrong. And there is an epidemic of police shootings of unarmed black men. Even high-profile black celebrities often claim to be afraid of police because the same thing might happen to them. Police brutality, or at least the possibility that one may become a victim of such violence, is supposed to be part of an experience of a typical black man in the United States. Events such as the death of Michael Brown in Ferguson are presented as proof that black men are never safe from the police. This narrative is false. In reality, a randomly selected black man is overwhelmingly unlikely to be the victim of police violence. And though white men experience such violence even less often, the disparity is consistent with the racial gap in violent crime, suggesting that the role of racial bias is small. The media's acceptance of the false narrative poisons the relations between law enforcement and black communities throughout the country and results in violent protests and destroyed property, and sometimes even claim lives. Perhaps even more importantly, the narrative distracts from far more serious problems that black Americans face. And I, for one, I am sick and tired of fake racism narratives gaining ground, despite them being baseless lies. How about you? I want you to share your opinions. If you go to the website, please do it. I'm going to keep it up there. Go to theninjapastor.com, click on blog. You'll see it right there. See all the pictures and everything. Leave a comment. Share it. Do all that stuff. Plus, I have the link to our new iPhone app. I've just checked with the Android people to find out, well, where in the heck is my Android app? I want my Android people to have this. So let me just say this. I'm almost finished. I know I've been jabbering here for an hour and 45 minutes. Taya Kyle, you guys know I was friends with Chris Kyle. I've got his portrait right behind me as a gift from the Michael Strange Foundation. Such a precious, precious thing. They also gave me a multi-tool because I present for them some grief counseling for folks, and it was just amazing. One of the greatest gifts I've ever been given in my life. The boots that I wear a lot of times, the lizard skin boots, I'll wear a certain outfit I was wearing when I first met him in person. And we had talked for months. Via text message, email, and telephone. And then we met physically out there in Vegas, and the boy stepped on my, I literally just got them shined. When I say literally, I got off the shoe shine stand. I bought them the day before, and then they were brand new, and I got them shined at the shoe shine guy because I really want them to look nice. Apparently that's stupid. Real cowboys don't have shiny boots. And so I walked in the bathroom. There he is. He steps on both of my feet while he was in the process of nearly breaking my back. Now, I'm bigger than him, but the boy was just naturally strong. So his wife, Tyle, this is the widow of Chris Kyle. She had this to say. It's her letter to the NFL. Dear NFL, you were doing your part to bring people together and heal the world. That's really how healing works. We heal by loving each other and leading by example, showing people what is possible when we love each other, just as we are, and not only recognize our differences, but celebrate them and look at how we can use them together to make us jointly better than our separate parts. You were doing your part, celebrating each other based on skills, talent, and a joint vision without regard to color or religion. You were doing your part, and we were doing ours. We showed up cheering and groaning together as one. We talked in the concession lines and commiserated and celebrated our team together. Did it ever occur to you that you and we were already a mix of backgrounds, races, and religions? We were already living the dream you want right in front of you. Your desire to focus on division and anger has shattered what many people loved most about the sport. Football was really a metaphor for our ideal world. Different backgrounds, talents, histories actually made us one big team with one big goal: to do well, to win together. You are asking us to abandon what we loved about togetherness and make choices of division. Will we stand with you? Will we stand with our flag? What does it mean? What does it mean if we buy a ticket or NFL gear? What does it mean if we don't? It is the polar opposite of the easy togetherness we once loved in football. It was simple. We loved you and you loved us. With all of our races, religions, and different backgrounds, simplicity in a crazy world was pretty awesome. You, dear NFL, have taken that. You have lost me here. If you ever want to get off your knees and get to work on building bridges, let me know. I have found screaming about the problems in service marriages, or even standing in silence in front of them, hasn't healed even one of them. On the other hand, funding the Chris Kyle Frog Foundation, building a team and rolling up my sleeves to get in the trenches during my off time, volunteering there outside of my paying jobs, has proven to make real change. You have a lot of strong guys. I'm sure in the off season, a lot of them could build some pretty big bridges if they cared enough to do the hard work. That would involve getting off their knees and getting to work, though. I can do it while I raise 2 kids as their only parent and work through the greatest pain of my life. Let's see if they can do it for the issues they say they care so much about. Taya Kyle. Now I want to give you some facts. I want to compare 44 to 45 and see if you can figure out what that number represents. This is me here, and this is all over the internet. When my president lied to me and claimed 4 of my comrades were murdered because of a video insulting Muslims, I didn't take a knee. When my president shipped pallets of cash to my sworn enemy, I did not take a knee. When my president failed to identify Muslims as terrorists and Islam as an enemy of the state, I did not take a knee. When my president claimed that a man who tried to kill another man who lawfully defended himself could be his son, I did not take a knee. When my president defended a thug who bum-rushed law enforcement, I did not take a knee. When my president ordered businesses to spend unnecessary funds to appease a minority of people who need mental intervention far more than they need their own toilet, I didn't take a knee. When my president ordered the words, "one nation under God," to be removed from the Pledge of Allegiance, I didn't take a knee. When my president lied to me and said I could keep my doctors and my premiums would go down, I didn't take a knee. When my president spent my tax dollars in foreign lands to interfere in their elections, I did not take a knee. When my president sat by passively and enabled ISIS to emerge as an even stronger force dedicated to spreading Islamic ideals by committing murder, rape, and torture, I didn't take a knee. When my president allowed dictators and murderers to violate his red lines and continue to murder women and children with chemical gas, I didn't take a knee. When my president chastised law enforcement for their actions but ignored the violence in our streets, I didn't take a knee. When my president identified the weather as the greatest threat to America's safety while Muslims worldwide are murdering innocent people, I didn't take a knee. While my president's insistence that pacifism and reform in numerous areas of the globe would bring peace, but instead led to the strengthening of those who seek to destroy us, I didn't take a knee. when the election of my president broke barriers never thought possible in America, ended up being the high point of his 8 years in office, I didn't take a knee. In all that time, I never disrespected our country, our armed forces, our veterans, or our nation. I remained vigilant, and I got a new president. When my president lied to me over and over again, I didn't take a knee. I went to the polls. When the election of my president broke barriers never thought possible in America, ended up being the high point of his career. You remember what he got? He got the Nobel Peace Prize. I didn't take a knee. I never disrespected our country. I never disrespected our armed forces or veterans or our nation. I remained vigilant. I stood. I voted. And I got a new president. That's attributed to Steve Jones in Lubbock, Texas. Now, folks, I want to just lay this out for you. We only have a couple minutes left here. I want to lay this out for you, and I need you to understand that I'm not saying this because somehow or another I'm a secret racist or I'm this, that, or the other. The facts are the facts, and I'm not laying everything bad that ever happened on the NFL or the 75% of black people that are in the NFL. No way, no shape, no how. I don't think it, I don't feel it, and I don't say it. But let me tell you this. Crime in America is measured by lots of agencies, both local and federal. But there's a new report out. Jill Cohen wrote this article, and she cites a new report from the FBI, cites the most violent 10 cities in the United States of America. The city of Detroit achieved this dubious honor of being named the most violent big city in America in 2016. These are the newest FBI crime figures. People in Detroit committed more murders last year than those people in Los Angeles. And there's 4 times more people living in Los Angeles than there are in Detroit. They also beat out St. Louis, which held the title as the most violent city in the country in 2015. This year, 2 cities switched positions with St. Louis, who's now in second place. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Detroit's police chief, he refuses to believe it. He said, I reject these findings. This is Detroit Police Chief James Craig told the Detroit Free Press. Just because it's coming out of the FBI doesn't mean it's accurate. How about that? He said he has his own data system, new software system shows violent crime actually went down 5% in 2016. He said it's been trending downward since 2013. He says my information is much more accurate. The FBI, on the other hand, claims that its findings in Detroit witnessed a 15.7% increase in violent crime in 2016 compared with the previous year. The largest discrepancy involves reported incidents of aggravated assault in Detroit. According to the FBI, there were 9,882 such incidents, while Detroit police say the real number is 8,916. The FBI also says that Detroit witnessed a total of 13,705 violent crimes in 2000, and I want you to understand, in 2016, what these are, violent crimes, are murders, rapes, assaults, and robberies. In 2015, that number was 11,346. Among U.S. cities with a population of at least 100,000 people, Detroit is first on the list of the most violent cities in America. Here is a list of the 10. I'm going to read them to you. This is directly according to the FBI's 2016 Uniform Crime Report. Detroit, number 1. St. Louis, number 2. Memphis, I lived there for 3 years. I can testify. Memphis, number 3. Baltimore, Maryland, number 4. Anytime you go into Baltimore, strictest gun laws anywhere. It's unbelievably strict. Number 4 on the list. Sadly, Wilmington, Delaware, per capita, 5th most dangerous city in America. Most violent. Rockford, Illinois, one of the top 2 most strict gun laws in the country. Kansas City, Kansas. Flint, Michigan, one of the highest Muslim populations in the United States. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, long considered to be an extremely liberal place. Violent crime in America rose for the second straight year in 2016, driven by a spike in killings in some major cities, yet remained near historically low levels elsewhere. Now, the Trump administration had something to say about this. They said these figures prove that the nation is in the midst of a dangerous crime wave that warrants a return to tougher tactics, such as more arrests and harsher punishments for drug criminals. The FBI said it was the first time violent crime rose in consecutive years in more than a decade. Detroit, however, didn't have the highest murder rate. That distinction went to St. Louis, which had a rate of 60 murders per 100,000 people. In 2016, Baltimore was second with the murder rate, with a rate of 51 murders per 100,000. Detroit was third with 45 per 100,000. Now, I'm going to say this to you, and I think it's very, very important. This is incredibly important. And I want you to understand that I'm not making a racial determination here. You understand that? This is not, I'm saying the black people that live, the poor people that live in those cities, the people that live in those cities, I don't care what you call them, whatever the case may be. I'm just saying to you, that's not what I'm pointing to. But folks, if you can't see some sort of correlation here that somebody needs to pay serious attention to, well, then you're just not looking. You're just not looking. This is critically important that we understand. Look, we can lie to ourselves. We can lie to ourselves all we want. But there's a major problem in this community that says it's much maligned by the police. When you look at the rate of violent crime, black on black murder, that's not counting abortion, by the way. 82%. Wilmington, dealt with fifth most dangerous city in America per capita, also happens to have 82% of black children never escape the womb due to abortion. 82%. Black men killing black men. It's not police killing black men. Black men killing black men. Young black men, kids, teenagers. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. At some point or another, we have to look at the facts and we have to say, hey, this is reality about this. Look, I'm going to tell you that all of those cities are Democrat-run cities. Now, I've said this to other people before, Barack Hussein Obama, Eric Holder, and all the black leaders that were in positions of great power for 8 years. And it's worse now than when they started. I have to look at that. Look, I'm a pragmatic person. I look at that and I say to myself, self, because that's what I call me when I talk to me. I say, self, now look here. Somebody's lying about something. Somebody's not telling the truth about something. Somebody is lying. And you know what? I'm afraid that the longer this lie is allowed to continue, the hands up, don't shoot. The black men, young black men, are being murdered just indiscriminately by police officers. The unsaid word there is white police officers. You've got sanctuary cities where we're inviting people. Listen, let me ask you something. A white kid, crazy white kid, goes in and shoots up a church in Charleston, South Carolina. And oh my goodness, you're still hearing about it. This racist, terrible racist thing. A black Muslim who was an air quotes refugee kills a woman, executed her right there in the parking lot, and then goes in and shoots up the place until a man with a legally owned gun stops him. You hear anything about that? Not much. Not much. You don't hear much about it at all. And I'm sad to say it disgusts me. Good for the goose, good for the gander. Let's, instead of making it a political thing, instead of doing that, let's make it a real thing. Let's stick with facts. That's reality. Look, I've run out of time. There's some other things that I want to talk about. I'll have to make it another show. Either I'll do another show maybe on Saturday, or I'll save this for next week. But I'm going to give you my honest, straightforward opinion on legalizing cannabis, both for medical and recreational. It will be the most real you will ever hear me be about this topic. And quite frankly, it has caused me to lose a ton of followers, a ton of people who support me in the conservative Christian community and otherwise. And I'm going to just tell you, I don't care anymore. It was either the truth or otherwise. I'm working with some amazing people. I won't say their names right now. One has been a guest on the show and will be on the show again. I'll be traveling out to Colorado Springs next year and be doing a speech in the state of Delaware next month on this to veterans. I'm proud to do it. I'm proud to be invited on my experience, what's happened with it. And I'm just going to lay it out for you. And if a bunch of you want to bail, that's okay too. But I think it's more important to tell the truth and lose everything I have, which ain't much, than it is to be quiet about something so that I can retain an audience that really isn't here for me as much as they are for them. I believe my audience is better than that, but you got to act on your own belief. So I'm going to be real with you. When I deliver this, it's going to be real. I won't forget. I've got it marked, but we're out of time today. And I've kept you for 2 hours, and I appreciate it. We have another hour owed to us, but I don't like to go more than 2 hours, so I think it's too much it's too much for people to listen to all at one time. So I'm going to say this to you now, and I want you to understand. It means the world to me, that you all listen the way that you do. In fact, I'm going to give you some applause. See that? And I thank you. I really do. I mean, I'm applauding the audience, and I mean it. It's no joke. You guys are awesome. Really awesome. I don't know how to tell you more how I appreciate it. I appreciate it too. If you could share this episode, the link will work. You share the episode, social media, wherever, email list, whatever you do. I really appreciate it. That would mean the world to me. It means the world to me. You just don't even know. Thank you so much. God bless you. We will talk to you again very soon. If not before Sunday, by Sunday. God bless you. Thank you.